Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Jack Wolfson, board-certified cardiologist. Welcome to my present tonight called Your Perfect Cholesterol. The chat box is open, so jump into the chat, say hello. There are thousands of people signed up for this call, so I'm not going to be able to say hello to everyone in here, but go ahead and say hello. We will save plenty of time at the end for Q&A. And if you put questions into the chat box, you can put questions in there. You can also click the Q&A button and put your questions in there, and I will address all of those at the end of the presentation. So it's so wonderful to see all these people here on the call. So exciting. Cholesterol is a problem for a lot of people. They're concerned about their cholesterol. They've been feared into be concerned about their cholesterol. And I want to put a lot of those fears, to rest. Again, we're seeing people from all over the world on this call. I appreciate you spending your time with me. You're going to be with me for about an hour. You will get the replay. You can take notes, but this is all recorded. You can show this with your local doctor. You can show it with your mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, best friend, whoever you want to show it to. You'll have those links available. And again, it will be available immediately after the presentation. And then we'll also email that out tomorrow. If you do hear my children in the background, if you do hear a barking dog, if you hear my wife in the background, which is less likely, I do apologize. I'm doing this presentation from home. The background you see on the screen right now is not where my location. It is just a green screen image. It is a beautiful image and trying to induce the thought of peace and relaxation to everyone. It does appear to be a beautiful beach house somewhere in the jungle. So that being said, okay, well, let's roll here. Let's get going and have some fun. Now, I want to tell you about a couple of different patients. Number one is Amy, and Amy is the 64-year-old woman. She's got a history of high cholesterol. She's had a heart attack, stroke, no history of any heart attack, stroke, stent, or bypass. And she does take atorvastatin. The brand name for that is Lipitor. But she comes to see me because she wants a second opinion. She feels tired. She complains of memory issues. She's not happy with her weight. She's not happy with her mood. She's not happy with her relationship. She's just not overly happy at this time. So that's Amy. And then we've got Joe. And Joe is a guy actually who is 56 years old. And he's had a heart attack. So he's at what's called secondary prevention. He's tried statin drugs, but he stopped because, again, he had muscle aches, and it really felt that it was zapping his libido. So he came to see me, and what we saw with Joe at the time was on the right were his labs before, and on the left are his labs from afterwards. And although this test that we're looking at is not a direct measurement of cholesterol, I'm going to tell you why these measurements are better. But if you look at one thing now, look at the bottom right-hand corner of Joe's lab results where it says his ApoB, ApoA1 ratio is greater than 1. And then after working on our plan, his ApoB, ApoA1 ratio is 0.68. So it went from the red zone to the green zone. And we did this without the use of pharmaceuticals for Joe. So this training right now is for anyone who's been told they have high cholesterol. And I really don't like that terminology whatsoever about high cholesterol, low cholesterol. There's just cholesterol, but this training is for people with high cholesterol, people who are on statin drugs, and ideally they want to get off the statin drugs safely and effectively. This is for anyone with coronary artery disease, people who want to prevent a heart attack or stroke, and it's for people who care for others with the above. Ultimately, this is for people who want the 100-year hearts and are not willing to settle for anything less. In the mainstream health model in the United States and other developed countries around the world, the life expectancy is around 80 years of age. And as all of us keep getting older, I'm 52 now, and as all of us kind of keep getting older, 80 years old is not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it for me. I've got a 2-year-old baby girl. You know, I want to live. You're here because you want to live. And with the medical model, you make it to 80. This is the home of the 100-year hearts with clarity, vitality, and that longevity. That's what we're offering here tonight. So what we're going to go over tonight is, in the presentation, Your Perfect Cholesterol, we're going to talk about what is cholesterol and why does the body make it. We're going to talk about LDLs and HDLs, the good, the bad, and the truth. We're going to talk about statin drugs. And I'm not going to just condemn statin drugs and say, don't take it, it's poison and stuff like that. I'm going to show you the literature that they use to support the use of statin drugs. We're going to talk about a little bit about PCSK9 inhibitors, and then we're going to delve into nutrition and lifestyle for your perfect cholesterol, and then we'll talk about some evidence-based supplements to supplement the healthy lifestyle and healthy nutrition. We'll talk about those supplements to support your perfect cholesterol and go from there. Linda Domes is saying, I'm 75. I want to live a lot longer than 80. Of course you do. Of course you do. So everyone has a perfect cholesterol, and a natural heart doctor, NHD, helps you find it. We want you to find the perfect cholesterol for each one of you. And everybody on this call, the hundreds of people who are on this call and the thousands of people who signed up for the program and for the replay, everyone has a perfect number, and everyone on this call is different. What works for Allie Richmond, what works for Pam and Kathy and Kathleen and Jay, everybody has a different number that works for them. And also I want to tell you that this training right now, this is not sponsored by Pfizer, Merck, or AstraZeneca. This training is not in alignment with the American Heart Association or the American College of Cardiology that are owned and funded by the pharmaceutical industry. So please, though, do not stop any pharmaceuticals without checking with your local doctor. And if you would like us at Natural Heart Doctor to become your doctor, we love new patients. Myself, my 2 naturopathic doctors, my team of health coaches, we love it. We love new patients. And there you go. Real quick about me, I am a board certified cardiologist. I spent 16 years working in hospitals. I've seen all of the good, the bad, and the ugly inside of the hospitals. I was a former partner in the largest cardiology group in the state of Arizona. I was the chairman of medicine, director of cardiac rehab, chairman of cardiology. I was in 2011 voted one of Phoenix top docs by my peers. And then I would leave that big practice and I would start Natural Heart Doctor in 2012, 5-time top holistic MD, top 50 functional medicine doctor, international speaker, married to my beautiful bride, Dr. Heather, who opened up my eyes to all things health and wellness. And we've got 4 beautiful children. And for those of you who check us out on social media, we also have a new dog. And that, again, is my certificate on the screen right there, because a lot of people make comments, and again, they see me on social media. Are you a real doctor? Yes, I am a real doctor, and I am a real board certified cardiologist with over 20 years experience as a cardiologist. Time flies. Okay, I also wrote the Amazon best-selling book, The Paleo Cardiologist, The Natural Way to Heart Health. And I am a contributing author to the Textbook of Integrative Medicine, which is really wonderful because this is a medical textbook about integrative cardiovascular medicine. This is really showing that things are coming somewhat more mainstream. There's still some challenges. When I spoke at the Texas Heart Institute down in Houston, Texas, a few years ago. So the fact that really one of the major homes and the home of Michael DeBakey, the founding father of bypass surgery, was the Texas Heart Institute. I spoke there about integrative and holistic cardiology. It's very exciting for me to be there. So when we say cholesterol, what comes to mind when I say cholesterol? Think about this, everyone. If I say cholesterol, what pops into your mind? If you want to throw that into the chat box, go ahead and throw it in there. I say cholesterol, you say what? You say what when I say cholesterol? Think about that and throw it into the chat box. And we'll talk about that for a second, because we have been told that, exactly, Mary, fat, Kathleen, blockage, heart attack, plaque, fat, I'm scared, plaque, clogged arteries, right? So Jan Weinberg, you're a smart guy, healthy brain. So when we think about cholesterol, we should think, yeah, brain health, heart health, all health of the body. But pharma has vilified this life-giving molecule, of which all animals on planet Earth have cholesterol. A chicken egg has cholesterol because that's how a baby chicken comes to life. The breast milk of a human or the milk of an animal is loaded with cholesterol because that's what the baby needs to live. Cholesterol, though, it doesn't contain mercury or arsenic or lead or any kind of toxic, material. It really is just a composition of three things: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. That's it. So it really is just those three things, and they're extremely important. Cholesterol is critical for our digestion. The liver makes cholesterol. It puts it into our bile and into our gallbladder, ideally, and then into your small intestine to help you digest your food. So we need cholesterol for our digestion. We also need cholesterol for our hormones, including our sex hormones. So you can see the busy depiction on the screen right there about cholesterol, on how it gets changed into testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol for our energy. Cholesterol is coursing through our skin in the blood vessels. The sun hits it and it turns cholesterol into vitamin D. So in a lot of ways, people with abnormal cholesterol levels, or again, quote unquote, high cholesterol levels, is a sunshine deficiency syndrome. So when you get sun exposure, your vitamin D levels go up and your cholesterol levels go down. So Debbie, your level of 276, part of that is likely a sunshine deficiency syndrome. As you get more sun to your solar panel of your skin, vitamin D levels go up, cholesterol levels go down, to find the perfect number for you, Debbie, and everybody else. Now, the cell membrane is the fence that surrounds all the cells. It keeps things inside of the cells that belong, and things outside of the cell that don't belong. And if you want to take a look at the drawing on the right, you can see that those yellow balls, where I have it circled cholesterol, and it's pointing to these yellow structures, it is loaded into the cell membrane. So if you don't have cholesterol in those areas, nothing works. Nothing works. You want to make sure, again, that you understand now that cholesterol is not the problem. And I assure you, it is not the cause of coronary artery disease. It's not the cause of heart attacks, and it's not the cause of strokes. It's not. Despite what the fact they tell us that high cholesterol is linked to heart disease, let's take a look at this. So this is a graph from the Mr. Fit trial from the 1970s. And what they show here when they look at 350,000 people is that, pay attention to the blue line and the blue part of the curve. What they found is that the perfect serum cholesterol regarding overall life and death was when you have a total cholesterol between 160 and 260. That was that sweet spot, 260 to 160. Excuse me, 160 to 260 was the sweet spot. Above 260, the risk of dying went up. Below 160, the risk of dying went up. Again, we want to find the perfect level for you regarding all-cause mortality. And this is very, very critical. And this really should show that total cholesterol is not a very good predictor. And actually what they reported in the journal Neurology, and this goes back to what Jan Weinberg said, high total cholesterols in late life is associated with a reduced risk of dementia. Reduced risk of dementia, which is pretty important as we get older, right? Now, Michael DeBakey, as I talked about, the most famous cardiovascular surgeon in the world and the inventor of coronary artery bypass at the Texas Heart Institute, Houston Methodist, an analysis of cholesterol values in 1,700 patients with atherosclerotic disease revealed no definite correlation between serum cholesterol levels and the nature and extent of atherosclerotic disease. And this article was from the journal Science, where in 2017, they're finally getting around to this. Cholesterol testing has no value. It has no value. It's something that we order. It's included on our panels because people just want to know that number. But honestly, it's not even something that myself and frankly, my team even looks at. We can do so much better than what I would say is that 1970s panel. Now, people often talk about LDLs and HDLs, and they talk about LDLs as the bad cholesterol. That's pharmaceutical company speak. All mammals on planet Earth have LDLs. They serve a purpose. HDLs serve a purpose. There can be good LDLs, there can be bad LDLs, there can be good HDLs, there can be bad HDLs. We'll talk about that. The LDL should be considered as a bus that travels around the body with passengers, and the passengers on the LDL bus are things like cholesterol, things like CoQ10, things like fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, K, things like triglycerides that are the form of energy or fuel used by our cells. So do not think about LDL as the bad. Think about it as something that is very important for all of us, but we need the right levels of it. Now, real quickly, I do want to hammer home the point that this concept of LDL cholesterol is not very predictive either. So bear with me as I show you some of these studies. So if we look at the 5-year study of cholesterol, this is only the placebo group of this trial. This is not talking about the pharmaceuticals. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see here, if your LDL was 156 or below, you roughly had a 5% chance of having a heart attack, stroke. If your LDL was above 157, the event rate in 5 years was 7%. So it's 5% versus 7%. So even if your LDL is sky high, your chances of having an event was 7% in 5 years. If your levels of LDL were very low, your chances of having an event was 5%. So it's 7% versus 5%. Remember, the goal of everyone at Natural Heart Doctor is for you to have a 0% chance of having a problem. Okay, in this particular trial, though, event rate was 5% and 7%, but what they found was that it didn't matter what your LDL was at all in regards to overall mortality. People who died, that's the ultimate thing to look at. So if your LDL was 110 or 210, you had the same chances of dying. So when someone says, well, if your LDL is 220, you're more likely to die than the person whose LDL is 110. That would be incorrect. So do not rely on LDL. Do not rely on total cholesterol. What we look at is that we go a lot more in depth with looking at these LDL particles. Are they large and fluffy on the left, or are they small and dense on the right? Because the LDL number of the person on the left is 130. The LDL number of the person on the right is 130. And that's what fills up the cup. So the cup of LDL is the same height. But the way that we make up the LDL on the right with these small dense particles, they are the unhealthy ones, and that's what we measure as ApoB. So when you have a lot of apolipoprotein B, you have a lot of those small dense particles. When you don't have a lot of ApoB, then your situation is over on the left. And that's what the goal is, moving you from right over to the left. Don't get bogged down into the science of all this and everything that I'm going through, because you can watch this again and again and again in order to get these concepts. Or at the end of the day, you can just trust us at Natural Heart Doctor, and we will help you. We will hold your hand through all of this. Now, this is data from Duke University in 2014, which proves my point that the lower the ratio, ApoB to ApoA, and ApoA is the protein found at the outside of the bus on HDLs. When this ratio that we test on every single person, the lower the ratio, the better. So on the left-hand side, you had a very low risk of a cardiac event. On the right-hand side, as that BA ratio goes up, in a sense, ApoBs go up, ApoAs go down, therefore that ratio becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, then that leads to cardiovascular illness. Okay. Again, so this is the top panel is the 1970s panel. The bottom panel is what we really need to look at, that ratio ApoB, ApoA1. And whether you work with us or your local doctor, you should not care about your total cholesterol, your total LDLs, HDLs. You should care and ask for that ApoB, ApoA ratio, and every major lab testing company in the world can order that for you. ApoB, ApoA ratio. And I want to delve now into why statins are not the answer to heart disease prevention. And I've been on record saying this, and I'm saying it right now, where statin drugs have killed millions of people. Why would I say that? Because people truly believe, according to their doctor, they can eat a Lipitor and eat whatever they want. I'll just pop a Lipitor, eat whatever I want, live the way that I want, think the way that I want, and I'm going to be safe. And I'm going to show you that that is not true. The original statin drug trial was called AFCAPS TEXCAPS, and this was for primary prevention. So this was done on men back in the 1990s. Also, it was mostly men. There were women also in this trial. It was about close to 6 to 1, 5.5 to 1, men to women. The study was published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. And they looked at people with a total cholesterol of 221. You see the LDLs, the HDLs, the triglycerides. And what they got was the original statin drug by Merck Pharmaceuticals, lovastatin or placebo. And they followed up with these people for 5.2 years. So again, half the group got placebo, half the group got the active drug lovastatin. And this is the way trials are supposed to be done, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. And what they found after 5 years is that the number of people who died in each group was the same. It was the same. Now, the statin drug did lower the chances of having a heart attack by a little bit. It improved the chances of avoiding an angioplasty procedure at that time, but it didn't save any lives. It didn't save any lives in the original statin drug trial. Now, the PROSPER trial was done and looked at another drug called pravastatin. And pravastatin was Pravachol. And they looked at 5,800 patients. 50% of these were women. And they followed these people for 3 years. This was published in the British journal Lancet. And what they found actually is that more people died of strokes in the statin group. They found that less people died of heart attacks in the statin group. They found that more people died of cancer in the statin group. But what they found overall is that when it came to living and dying, there was no difference. So that's 2 trials that show that there is no difference in lives saved on statin drugs. This trial was published in 2017, and this was done on people age 65 and older. And what they found is that if you were 65 and older, you had an 18% higher risk of dying if you received pravastatin. If you received pravastatin and you were 75 and older, you had a 34% higher risk of dying. You can see here, ladies and gentlemen, that I am not trying to provide scare tactics. I am not trying to say, chew on the bark of a cactus and that's your answer. I'm trying to tell you that the literature shows these things. And that's what I'm quoting here from mainstream medical journals. It's right there. Okay. This was a trial for people after they suffered a heart attack in what's called secondary prevention. And this was with the pharmaceutical simvastatin. And you can see here, after 5 years, the 88.5% of people were alive if they took a statin drug. placebo. If they took the statin drug, there was 91.8% chance that they were alive. So there was that 3% difference in those who took the statin. But if you suffered a heart attack, ladies and gentlemen, you would not want to be in the 88.5% survival group or the 91.8% survival group. You would like to be in the 100% survival group. We know they don't offer that. I believe that we do. So the data on statin drugs for primary prevention is weak. The data on secondary prevention gets a little bit better. This recent meta-analysis was reported last year in March in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, the biggest medical journal in the world. And here's what they found. For primary prevention, statin drugs lower your risk of dying by 0.14%, heart attack by 0.16%, and stroke by 0.07% on a yearly basis. That is right out of the study. It's right there. So please do not let your doctor tell you, because doctors are tremendous bullies who've been brainwashed into this type of methodology. Do not let the doctors tell you, take this statin drug or you're going to die. Do not let them tell you, take this statin drug or you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke. Because what the doctors should be saying is that if you take this statin drug, it will reduce your risk of having a heart attack in the coming year from 3% to 2.84%. And if you are happy with that, people, go ahead and log off the webinar, because I don't know what you're thinking here. If you say, I as a person am happy with my current drug lowering my risk of having a heart attack from 3% to 2.84%, then go ahead and go ahead and go. Good luck to you. I hope you do well. If you are interested in being part of the 0% heart attack group, stay on this training program, because that's what I'm talking about. Now, when it comes to secondary prevention, it gets a little bit better. Lowers your risk of dying by 0.2% chance per year. Lowers your heart attack risk 0.5% per year. Lowers your stroke risk. You can see the numbers there on the screen. These are tiny percentages, far below 1% benefit. No matter what the doctors tell you, this is the most recent literature. This is it. These are the benefits. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for you, your family, myself, my family, my patients, and this is all the medical community has to offer. This is a study from 2006 where they gave very high dose Lipitor to people after they suffered a stroke or a TIA. And what they found is that LDL dropped dramatically to 73 in the drug group. And what they found was that, yes, there was less strokes, there was a few less heart attacks, but 5 more people died in the atorvastatin group. Don't tell me this saves lives. At best, it is a tiny benefit. And I just showed you 4 trials where more people died in the statin group. Lipitor, as you see on the screen, is the #1 selling drug of all time. Hundreds of trillions of dollars have been spent on Lipitor. And this is what you get. It is the biggest con job in medical history. And I'm not even talking about the side effects. I'm just talking about the lack of benefit, the side effects. A very busy slide here, and in fact, I made it less busy than what it was. But at the top, you have the things that make cholesterol. And then in the middle, you've got the statin drug that blocks the production. And at the bottom, you've got all the things that you're supposed to have. Like things like squalene, ubiquinone is CoQ10. Heme A is a protein involved in mitochondrial function to make cellular energy. Dolichol is a type of fatty particle that is highly concentrated in the substantia nigra of your midbrain, which is why statin drug users, evidence shows they have more risk of Parkinson's and movement disorders. My father died at the age of 63 of a Parkinson's-like illness. My father took a statin drug. I am very convinced that it was one of the factors that killed my father. When you inhibit the natural function of the body, you're asking for trouble. Other side effects, you name it, liver, muscles, brain, elevated blood sugar, erectile dysfunction, low libido. This is what's going on here. Did you know that several of the statin drugs contain fluoride? There's the actual fluorine atom in the molecule. 1982, the pathophysiological profile of the acute cardiovascular toxicity of sodium chloride. If you take a statin drug, you're swallowing fluoride every single day. Every single day. Yes, Dennis, my father was very, very young. My father was a cardiologist. I followed in his footsteps. I tell the story in my book. And but his loss will not be in vain. He got sick and died to make me the person that I am today. And I owe it to him to tell the truth to everybody. I owe it to the millions of people. I owe it to my wife, who awoke me from the medical matrix, from the medical model of which I was stuck in. His death will not be in vain. That I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dennis. Statin users, this is from the, this came out last year, June of 22. Statin users 3 times the dementia risk of non-users. Atorvastatin, simvastatin, fluvastatin. God bless you, Jill. Thank you. Anybody remember Baycol? This is from my hometown paper at the time, Chicago Tribune, 2001. Baycol is pulled from the market. Baycol, it's a statin drug. It's pulled from the market, and as you see on the screen, just of what was reported, 52 people died from Baycol. 385 people were hospitalized. They pulled the drug from the market. And this article from World Health Net was the number 2 drug out of 35 drugs that were approved by the FDA as safe and effective that were eventually pulled by the FDA. I want to talk real briefly about this pharmaceutical PCSK9 inhibitor called Repatha. This is the injectable that they're now using very often. The study on Repatha, as reported in the New England Journal of Medicine, showed that there was a 1.5% lower risk of having what's called that primary endpoint that I rectangled in red. The primary endpoint, all total, death, heart attack, stroke, angina, you name it. There was a 1.5% benefit of that category. And the drug drove the LDL levels down to 33. So LDL levels were extremely low, yet 10% of the people still had the primary endpoint. So do not let someone tell you that we're trying to drive your levels as low as possible so you're at zero risk. Not true. You are at a 10% risk driving it down that low. Now, everybody in this study was on a statin drug. So it was this particular drug or a placebo, but everybody was on statin drugs. Now, the question is, did the drug save lives? What they found actually is that 18 more people died in the Repatha group than in the group that got placebo. Understand that. 3% of people died in each group, even with these ultra low LDL levels. They still had heart attacks, they still had strokes, they still died. It's not a winning strategy to rely on pharma. It's not. Ultimately, we want to know, what is your cave person cholesterol? If you were walking around on planet Earth 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago as a hunter-gatherer, what would your number be? Let's find it. Eggs are not the problem. Saturated fat is not the problem. In fact, this study showed that those who consumed more saturated fat than the ones who didn't actually had less progression of coronary artery disease. They did angiograms on everyone before and after, and the women who ate the most amount of saturated fat had the lowest risk. So don't fear saturated fat. That was all propaganda from Kellogg's, Quaker Oats, and Nabisco from the 1970s. We talked about sunshine, how sunshine helps to improve your numbers. Smart sunshine. Sunshine lowers cholesterol. More sunshine equals lower risk of being dead. More sunshine equals lower risk of being dead. This is all part of our concept of eat well, live well, think well, test, don't guess, evidence-based supplements to use as needed to supplement the healthy lifestyle. Other biohacking strategies, sauna, red light therapy, you name it. Sleep is part of live well. Short sleepers have higher cholesterol. Sleep 8 hours per day is best for your HDL. It's right there in the literature. Physical activity helps to improve the lipid profile. Air pollution is linked to higher total cholesterol and LDLs and lower HDLs. Pesticides are linked to higher total cholesterol and LDL, lower HDL. Eat well, live well, think well. That's the answer. Job stress, part of think well. Elevated job stress, emotional unwellness leads to abnormal lipids. And I can talk about that extensively for quite a long period of time. Dental health, periodontal disease leads to abnormal lipids as well. If your lipids are abnormal, we have to figure out why. We have to figure out why. 14 mechanisms of mycotoxin cardiovascular toxicity. If you are living in a home with water damage from mold, it leads to 14 different ways that you get very sick. Number 7, LDL receptor dysfunction. The catcher's mitts on the liver, they don't pull all the old LDLs out of circulation. Ultimately, at the end of this program, one of the things I'm going to tell you is we would love for you to work with us, either myself, one of my other associate doctors, including my new cardiologist, Dr. James Neller, who's going to be joining us. He's an electrophysiologist. Or you can work with our brilliant team of health coaches. But we want you to work with us. We want you to learn from us. We want to be your second opinion. We want to be able to guide you moving forward. What's your plan moving forward? Do you have a plan? And you need a plan, and you need a team around you to support your 100-year heart. So what we offer is a statin-free plan, a pharmaceutical-free plan to prevent, treat, and reverse coronary artery disease, lower your heart attack risk, lower your stroke risk, lower your risk of stent bypass. It doesn't matter if pharmaceuticals lower your numbers down. You don't get any awards for having low numbers. You want to know if I take a pharmaceutical for any reason, cancer, autoimmune, heart disease, brain disease, psychiatric, does it work? Does it work? Will it help to save my life? And this is our foundational program. This is our wheel here of Eat Well, Live Well, Think Well, where eat well is just as important as live well, is just as important as think well. Shonda, the answer is yes. These are the foods you eat. This is the lifestyle that you lead. This is how you think. And this is what the team at Natural Heart Doctor does. We hold your hand through all this process. This is what the coaches do. Test, don't guess. Check your numbers before, get on our program, and check them afterwards. Eat well, live well, think well. Test, don't guess. Biohacking strategies, sauna, and red light therapy, Truvaga, IV, Flowpresso, lots of different things that one could do. And then we got evidence-based supplements. Evidence-based supplements. So if you would, I want to tell you about some evidence-based supplements that have been proven to be effective. Berberine, B-E-R-B-E-R-I-N-E. Berberine comes from a plant in Asia. Berberine is proven to lower total cholesterol by 29 points, LDL by 25, triglycerides by 33, and it raises HDL. We don't have a lot of data about these things that are most important, ApoBs and ApoAs, including Lp(a) that somebody had asked about earlier. It just hasn't been studied, hasn't been researched. From our standpoint, myself, my doctors, my coaches will tell you, just like the initial lab panel that I showed you, we are changing numbers dramatically and doing so without the use of pharmaceuticals. Berberine works through many different ways, including it improves blood sugar, it's antiviral, antibacterial, on and on and on. We also talk about silymarin, and silymarin, or milk thistle. There's good data with silymarin on what it does. This was a placebo-controlled trial where they looked at berberine and silymarin and found a combination to be very effective. Here is another trial that found that not only was it effective, but it modified the numbers in the same degree as Lipitor did. On its own, silymarin does some magical things. Silymarin improves fasting blood sugar, improves oxidative stress, and also something called NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Green tea extract. Green tea extract lowers total cholesterol and LDL, helps people lose weight. Green tea extract, more data here about blood sugar control. Green tea extract lowers CRP, which is the main marker of inflammation, by 33%. Curcumin. Curcumin does some magical things as well, including evidence that it lowers Lp(a). Somebody else had asked about that before. For those of you who are interested, I am a fan of time-release niacin, 500 milligrams with dinner. I'm not talking about niacin in this presentation. Resveratrol from the grapes, that is often thought to be the secret sauce of red wine and alcohol. Not a big fan of alcohol, very limited amounts, but resveratrol is improving lipid levels as well. At this moment, I will also take a chance to shout out for Cardiology Coffee. Coffee actually improves the lipid profile. Coffee drinkers, less heart attacks, less strokes. By the way, our Cardiology Coffee the results came back again with 0 detectable glyphosate, the most common pesticide, herbicide in the world. And it also came back with 0 mold mycotoxins detectable. Resveratrol is a great antioxidant. Ginger does some fantastic things. This is from 2019, the Journal of Diabetes and Metabolic Disorders. Ginger supplementation improves all these different things on here as well. And quercetin. Quercetin got a lot of publicity during COVID versus its effects on limiting spike protein access into cells. And what we find really with quercetin is that it protects against that bad LDL, the damaged, oxidized LDLs of quercetin. Yes, Fran, we do have decaf Cardiology Coffee. So that's quercetin. So I studied all this stuff. And I said, okay, you can go take all these individual things. You can go look at all these individual things and buy these individually. But I want to ask you if I can tell you about the supplement solution. And if you don't want to hear about our supplement that contains all these things, you're welcome to log off. We'll talk about this for a minute or two, and then I'll come back and do Q&A. You can log off right now and just listen to the Q&A. It's entirely up to you. But I want to tell you about a product that I developed at Natural Heart Doctor, because the supplement strategy that we talked about, it always rests on the foundation of eat well, live well, think well. Supplements, supplement, eat well, live well, think well. I am not telling anyone to eat McDonald's cookies and cupcakes, stop a statin drug, and take this supplement that I'm going to mention. I'm not telling you that, obviously. I'm telling you, you have to eat well, live well, think well. Ideally, you test, don't guess, and then you use an evidence-based supplement if you would like to tweak the profile. And this is, again, where my team at Natural Heart Doctor can help you with a lot of different supplements, a lot of different things that people are mentioning have value. But what I did is that I created the product called OptiLipid with the 7 ingredients that we mentioned, and we put them into this particular product. There's no other garbage fillers in there. There is products that work that supplement the healthy lifestyle. So if you're interested in this, it's right there on your screen, and you can grab your supply of that right now. It's 2 capsules per day. There's going to be no interference with your other pharmaceuticals. We've never seen a problem with this. We've got thousands and thousands of people who have taken this particular product. There's other products that you can find. You can stack up things that may be similar. Different things contain different things. This product is made for us by one of the finest manufacturers in the entire world. I've been to the factory. I've stood next to the machinery. The products that go into it are as clean as possible, and you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting when you use our OptiLipid. And it's right there on the screen. So for $47 per month, if you subscribe and save, it's a lot less. If you subscribe and save on a monthly basis, you get it delivered to your home. But that's what the OptiLipid is. And again, we've had tremendous success with that. You can see on the screen before on the right, after on the left. We are really changing up these panels, not just with OptiLipid alone. Eat well, live well, think well. Evidence-based supplements, biohacking strategies. That's the 100-year heart plan. Myrna said, I feel so much better since I stopped Lipitor and started OptiLipid. On the website, we've got 25 5-star reviews. OptiLipid is a dementia fighter and more. It is antiviral. It is antibacterial. It is for blood sugar control. It is for weight improvement, all of it. And I'll tell you something. If you don't like it, if it doesn't work for you, if you're not happy with it, email us. I'll give you back every single penny. I'm here to help people. I'm here to do what's right. I'm here to get people out of the medical matrix. I want you to be successful. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for spending your time with me tonight. So if you do click on Buy OptiLipid, it will open up another window for you. And then that window will remain open and you will be able to purchase at that particular time OptiLipid, as many bottles as you would like. Again, it's great to be on Subscribe and Save, where you get this delivered, and other Wolfson, Natural Heart Doctor products delivered to your door. I like time-release niacin. Time-release niacin is good for the people who are asking about LP(a). 500 milligrams of our TR niacin at dinner is good. From a standpoint of other products that I like, I love, of course, our product called The Whole Fish. I love our Wild Salmon Roe. There's nothing like those 2 products in the entire world. You cannot get anything like that anywhere else in the world. Our Kickstart My Heart. All those things really help to support good liver and good total body function. So that's what that is over there. So let me jump back into the chat box and let me see what, how I can help. Darren Hansen, is it 2 capsules at one time or 1 twice a day? You can do either or, whatever works for you. We've got a lot of people who do both, and it probably works just as well either way. The problem with 1 twice a day, people often forget to take that second dosing. So again, you can take them together. You can split them up whenever you want. Here we go. So we've got Michael, thank you. Ashley mentioned the TR niacin. It's 2 caps of OptiLipid per day. Judy, thank you. Dennis, appreciate it. Joanne says Heartbeat is a wonderful product. Is it gluten-free? Everything, Kimberly, at Natural Heart Doctor is gluten-free. Every single thing on my website, in my company, in our office is gluten-free. I don't even like when employees bring in gluten-containing food. My employees are good. The employees who work at Natural Heart Doctor, everyone is on board. Not everyone is perfect. Nobody's perfect. None of my supplements contain gluten. And there you go with that. Renee, your doctor's recommending chelation. I'm not a fan of chelation with EDTA and synthetic chelators. The evidence does not support it being beneficial. Kimberly Kendall, does this harden the plaque? I believe that it leads to plaque stability. So yes. Kimberly, if you don't take a statin, the unhardened plaque can cause a heart attack. Will supplement you're recommending? I believe that it does. Now, statin drugs are said to stabilize the plaque, and if they do, it works by a little bit. I just showed you all that data. Nicole is talking about Cardiolist. That's really a subject for another conversation. Not really known to be overly important for lipids. Gay says, is matcha tea good? I do, especially ceremonial matcha tea. I like that. Fran, Optilipid's fine if you're on Eliquis and flecainide. The capsules down are actually pretty small. They can be opened, but it's the ingredients in there are pretty medicinal, pretty bitter. So I don't know if you like that. Alice, the electrophysiologist, he's going to be coming on accepting patients at the end of the month. So his name, again, is Dr. James Neller, and we'll call us and we'll get you on his schedule. Nicole says Optilipid works. Mom and the husband are on it. Thank you so much. Kimberly, again, I'm going backwards here. So based on your calcium score, again, and Kimberly, I've got a blog on calcium scores. Please read that blog. And again, your strategy, no matter what your coronary artery disease level is, it's eat well, live well, think well, test, don't guess, evidence-based supplements. That's what it is there. Let's see here. Gail says, do you make it without milk thistle? I don't. I really have a hard time believing that milk thistle would lead to cancers based on estrogen. We do have, Gail, have a standalone Burby product, and the Burby dosage would be 3 capsules per day, which is anti-cancer. So I would have to think that, Gail, that my product Optilipid is anti-cancer. I cannot believe in any way, shape, or form that it would stimulate any form of cancer. But that's something you can always talk with us about. Rebecca, sometimes we do berberine, which is inside the Optilipid, but sometimes we do both. We do berberine 2 caps a day, Optilipid 2 caps per day. Jill, I love Optilipid. It's changed my life. That's a pretty good commentary on that, Jill. So there you go. Sue, listen, if you are financially strapped, you're not the only one. We talk to a lot of people who are in the same situation. Focus all of your energy on eating the right foods, avoiding the wrong foods. Sunshine, sleep, those are free. Physical activity is free. Avoiding toxins and chemicals as much as possible is free as well. Susan, the only your answer is your coffee. I apologize. I'm getting there. I'm getting through all this stuff. Debbie drinks Amla Green, which is a great vitamin C related product. I didn't talk much about vitamin C. There's so many different supplements that can be helpful. So there you go. Edward, would you believe that there are some studies on coffee consumption and atrial fibrillation that show the sweet spot for coffee consumption is 6 or more cups per day? Some studies show less, but the fact that that study shows that is pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So pretty cool with that. All right, let's see here. Trying to scroll down. I'm having trouble scrolling down past where I need to be. Let me jump into the Q&A area over here. Is the recommended diet in the paleo book? Yes, and we've got lots of information on our website. And Angela wants to know if she lost her gallbladder, does it negatively affect heart health? People who have a history of cholecystectomy or removal of the gallbladder have a higher risk of being dead. So whatever led to that removal of the gallbladder, we better fix on that as much as possible. Sharing coffee substitutes, a lot of coffee substitutes that you can do. And again, I'm not encouraging people who don't like coffee to start drinking coffee. I'm just saying if you like coffee, it's heart healthy and drink the good stuff. I've got a 16-year-old son, and I'm not saying, hey, son, you should start drinking coffee because it's good for you. It's an addiction. But if you do love coffee, you want to enjoy coffee, it's medically beneficial. Unless, of course, you don't like the way you feel on coffee or caffeinated products. If you don't, then don't drink them, of course. Vitamin K2, Leslie, I think is very good, especially when you get it from Kickstart My Heart, Wild Salmon Roe, the whole fish, from our emu oil. I like vitamin K2 there as well. Shauna has questions about berberine, Optilipid for the long term. I think it's fine and it's safe, for the long term. Plenty of data helps to support that. Tom Harris is asking about Arterisol. Arterisol is great for people with cardiovascular disease. There's a lot of supplements, guys. There's a lot of supplements. Ren is asking, do you recommend vegan diet? I never do. I believe that vegan is a deprivation diet. I believe in eating organic, eating nose to tail, healthy animal and meat related products, eating plenty of wild seafood, and being gluten-free. Those are my 4 strategies, and I talk about it a lot on the website and in my book, of course. Tina is asking about berberine in the product. Does it cause diarrhea? That's not been my experience with a lot of people. If you have diarrhea, then we probably got to look at fixing your gut, and that's the strategy there. Lisa, what is the biggest impact on number and size of particles? It's everything. Eat well, live well, think well, test, don't guess, evidence-based supplements. That's what does it. When you're under a lot of stress, your body does not digest well. It does not repair well. And we need to rest, digest, and repair in order for our liver to clear out the old LDL particles. If you are living in fear and in stress and anxiety, what's called high sympathetic tone, you're not going to be healthy. You're not going to clear these poisons and toxins out of your body. You've got to think well. You've got to improve your mental health, improve your mental stability. So please remember that as well. Angela, my husband is 44. I'm not sure where you're going with that. Can you take Optilipid while on Plavix? The answer is yes. Does Lipitor move ApoA and ApoB? It is effective to move down ApoB and to potentially increase ApoA. But ultimately, I don't think that is a good strategy. People are asking if I am available for consultation virtually. Kelly, the answer is yes. I do mostly Zoom consultations, and we provide you with a whole plan after that, and you can find that on our website as well. This person here, as far as the pharmaceuticals, when you stop a statin drug, it is stopped cold turkey. It is stopped cold turkey abruptly. There is no weaning process. Let's see here. Cindy Freeman, I don't like CT scans. I don't like calcium scans. I never order them. Bev, can you just stop taking a statin cold turkey? You can. Ask your doctor, but if you do, you stop cold turkey. Optilipid can help with blood pressure. Donadia, yes. Harriet, what is the name of the website? naturalheartdoctor.com. Linda Joy, I like Baluki. I like our flow just as much, and it's more reasonably priced. Michelle Berman, again, all plants, all animals are out there in the sun. The more time we spend outside, the longer we're going to live. There you go. Let's see here. Lynn says cholesterol of 130. Doctor just doubled his statin because he has AFib. Horrible advice. Horrible advice. Mary, she's on blood pressure drugs, losartan, metoprolol. The answer is yes, you can take this. Harriet, our company is located in Scottsdale, Arizona. We do consultations worldwide. Keto diet, okay. I like intermittent keto. Sometimes I'm going into ketosis, sometimes I'm not. We should never be in keto for the long term. People are asking about the pharmaceutical Zetia, another garbage pharmaceutical. ApoE34, a genetic component. I don't believe in bad genes. I believe in bad lifestyle and bad nutrition. I do not believe in putting statin drugs to people with ApoE gene. Edward, I'm the paleo cardiologist. I'm not the carnivore cardiologist. Carnivore for short term. If you go carnivore, you got to eat seafood. Shonda, yes, I do like taurine for various things. Joe, we've got data on aortic aneurysm on our website. Go check that out. Denise, I'm not a big fan of red yeast rice. We do sell it. I don't use it very often. Karen, you're talking about sunlight and living longer. What about northern Japan and Norway? The secret for those people is they eat a lot of seafood. So, what else? Margot, how long do you like to stay in ketosis before cycling out? I don't have any fast and firm answers for you. I tend to go into ketosis for several days at a time. Most of my time, I would probably say I'm out of ketosis. I do like eating fruit. I do like eating vegetables. I do like eating nuts and seeds and avocados and coconuts and coconut water. I do like my animal foods, free-range, grass-fed only. I never cheat. I do like eating wild seafood. I like my supplements, the whole fish, Kickstart My Heart, you name it. But I don't really have a fast and firm rule, because even if I did, it wouldn't necessarily apply to you. That's where you test, don't guess. Test your numbers while you're in ketosis. See how you feel when you're in long-term ketosis. If you like it, stay with it. I think the literature is starting to tell us that long-term ketosis is probably not the answer. If you're interested in working with us, again, go to the website, Natural Heart Doctor. You can sign up for consultations with myself and with our other two healthcare practitioners, Dr. Lauren Latanza, Dr. Tanya Rainier. You can also sign up for a free health coaching call on the website. If you're concerned about that or confused about that, you can email us, health@naturalheartdoctor.com. Bill has a bovine valve. Any problems with optolipid? I think it'll help preserve your valve, is what I think. Nan is asking about the calcium test. Just go read that on my website. We got lots of information condemning the use of that. So, Babette, I do not know about those particular products. Jay, any studies on CBD? Not aware of any data on CBD and lipids. I think that CBD has benefit. I'm not sure that it's as beneficial as the companies that sell it would like us to believe. Yeah, Dawn, replay will be coming when I finish this, and then we'll email it out tomorrow. So, Martine, I hope you enjoy the engagement gift. I send you out, one of our new fish-related products. So thank you so much for tuning in. And what else can I tell you? Again, we've got hundreds of people on the call. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed the presentation. Althea, I have AFib. Can I still drink your cardiology coffee? What we know is that people who drink coffee have lower risk of AFib and lower risk of stroke. So there you go. Thank you to everyone who's saying thank you. And I really appreciate it. Rita, we talked about statins versus, Repatha. Most of the Repatha data is done on people who take statin drugs. So we don't really have a lot of good information about standalone Repatha use. I've never used it in that context. And I don't see any future where I am using that on anyone. So there we go. Vicky, you've reinforced why I've refused to take statin drugs. It's not even a matter of I don't want to take it because of side effects. It's I don't want to take it because they don't work. Right? That's why. Okay. Linda's asking about the plaque test. Well, PLAC is a marker of inflammation. So there you go. My naturopath says LDL is governed by the thyroid. Well, everything's impacted by the thyroid for sure. If you have abnormal lipids, you should have the full testing panel done and see if thyroid abnormalities are playing a role in your abnormal lipids. Okay. Fatima, I avoid salmon because of the mercury. Our products, wild salmon roe, which is the fish eggs, and the whole fish were tested, and they have extremely low levels of mercury. Every food on planet Earth has some amount of mercury. Not only did our wild salmon roe and whole fish come back low in mercury and lead, it also tested negative for BPA, which is what people would be concerned about regarding microplastics. So there's none of that detectable in our food. Patty was on Repatha, had massive muscle issues. Yeah, I mean, you're dramatically lowering your numbers down. That is not what you do. Juliet, I'm not a fan of soy. Sorry. Susan, I don't really use a lot of red yeast rice. So there you go. Michelle, what about the drug fenofibrate? Garbage. You say, my natural cardiologist just put me on it. You need a new cardiologist. That doctor is not natural. It's just another pharma. Fenofibrate. I mean, we talk about the lame data from statin drugs. The data on fenofibrate and other similar drugs is laughable. It is a joke. It is a joke. Get rid of that. Do not use that particular pharmaceutical. My opinion, check with your other natural cardiologist. But any cardiologist who's prescribing that, I don't really feel is very natural, if you will. All right, still we've got hundreds and hundreds of people on the call here to answer questions. But listen, I mean, I'm going to go log off. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening with my family. You can... Again, by now, hopefully you clicked on the buy Optilipid button, so that doesn't actually bring up your credit card. It takes you to a page where you can learn more about Optilipid and go from there. Remember, money back guarantee. If you don't want it, whatever, if it didn't work for you, I'm happy to give you your money back. I'm not here to sell you things that don't work. I want to make sure we get the good stuff into your hands. And if you don't like it, then, again, like I said, we'll give you your money back. The Optilipid, if you click on buy Optilipid, it opens up a new window and it will be there for you. It's also available on our website. It's right there. Again, the best discount of that is when you sign up for, subscribe and save. That gives you 15% off. When you do that. So that's about the best deal. Supplements these days, everything's so expensive. The raw ingredients are more expensive than ever. The bottles are more expensive than ever. The labels are more expensive than ever. The label is more expensive. All the people who make the product, they're more expensive. The shipping is more expensive. Everything is more expensive these days. And you know that already. It just is the way that it is. So again, God bless. Patty says thank you and God bless. God bless all of you. And people often say to me, they're like, you better be careful. You're going up against big pharma. You're going up against big industry. I do believe I am doing the right thing. I do believe in the eyes of God that I am doing the right thing. I am on the right path and I will be protected. Not looking to be stupid, but and foolish in my living, but I do believe that the Lord will protect me, and I hope that the Lord also protects you. So anyway, without getting too down that road, I'm Dr. Jack Wolfson, board certified cardiologist, natural heart doctor. Thank you all for your time and support. Thank you.